After my rebirth, I proactively placed the divorce agreement in front of Maxwell. He didn't even glance at it. Tossing it aside, I won't give you custody of our son. I don't want custody. Maxwell looked up. Have you come to your senses? I have. In my previous life, I clung to Maxwell for decades because I couldn't bear to leave my son until he grew up. But on his wedding day, in front of everyone, he said, I hope my mom can make my dad and Aunt Sienna happy. Aunt Sienna has been with my dad for so many years. It hasn't been easy for her. Jack, 8 years old, lay on the ground throwing a tantrum, as if nothing could be done to change his mind. This scene repeated every day. I insisted he finish his homework before playing. I didn't allow him to watch TV for more than half an hour. I permitted him to eat fried chicken and hamburgers only once a week. I set many rules for him, hoping he would develop good habits. But when Sienna appeared, all those rules turned into a joke. He accused me. Aunt Sienna never makes me do homework. She only takes me out to play. She also doesn't stop me from eating chicken legs. She says boys need to eat more to grow tall. I don't like you at all. I wish Aunt Sienna could be my mom. In my previous life, even though these words hurt, I chose to forgive. I thought he was just too young to understand, and he would appreciate my efforts when he grew up. I continued to force him to study, exercise, and eat healthily. As an adult, he graduated from a prestigious school, started his own company, and married a well-matched wife. On his wedding day, when the host asked him to thank his parents, he told all the guests, I hope you can make my dad and Aunt Sienna happy. Aunt Sienna has been with my dad for so many years. It hasn't been easy for her. Sienna in the audience cried like a baby. It seemed that all the suffering she had endured over the years was worth it. And I, standing on the stage, felt redundant and ridiculous. Mom, you forced me to do things I didn't want to do since I was little. If Aunt Sienna hadn't quietly given me warmth and encouragement, I would have been ruined a long time ago. You and Dad have long lost your romantic feelings. Why do you still cling to this position? Making everyone unhappy. I don't know how I stumbled out of Jack's wedding. All I know is that after leaving the hotel, I was hit by a car for running a red light, and then accidentally gained a rebirth. Looking at my mischievous son now, I nodded. Okay, no homework. Jack, lying on the floor, looked surprised. He looked up at me. Are you serious? Of course, I said calmly. So can I continue watching TV now? Not only can you watch TV, but you can also play on the tablet. Can I eat chips while I play? Jack asked, pushing his luck. Do whatever you want. Why are you being so nice to me all of a sudden? Jack asked, amazed. I smiled and said, nothing. A spoiled, ungrateful child doesn't deserve my sincere treatment. Are you afraid I'll only like Aunt Sienna and not you? Jack said with a smug look. In the future, whatever you want, I'll give it to you. I said firmly, including Aunt Sienna, whom you like the most. After fulfilling all of Jack's unreasonable demands, he became increasingly unruly. The first thing he did when he got home was play on the tablet. He played during meals, and even slept holding the tablet. If he stayed up too late playing and couldn't get up, I wouldn't wake him, letting him sleep in. When he woke up and wanted to go to school, he could go. If he didn't want to go, I didn't force him. All the snacks he loved, I provided in abundance. The servants couldn't stand it, and kindly advised me, Madam, indulging young master this way will ruin him. How could that be? I said sarcastically. Forcing him to do things he doesn't like is what will ruin him. But this situation didn't last long. Jack's abnormal behavior caused dissatisfaction at school. His homeroom teacher called me, saying Jack was defiant in class, and said, my parents don't care about me, so why should you? I'm sorry. I really can't control him. For any issues, please contact my husband. I gave the teacher Maxwell's number. Then I hung up and continued with my beauty treatment. When I returned home after the treatment, I saw Maxwell, who rarely came home, in the lobby. He looked extremely displeased, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Eliza, your methods are getting more and more clever. To get me to come back. You even started using our son. I indeed wanted Maxwell to come back. Because calling him was useless. I no longer remembered when our relationship had become so antagonistic. We had been in a free relationship, married of our own accord, shared joys and sorrows, and built a business together. After the company stabilized, I stepped back, choosing to stay at home and take care of the family. I spent too much of my energy on my son. By the time I noticed something was wrong with Maxwell, he had already become emotionally involved with Sienna, a 20-year-old intern at the company. Youthful, vibrant, and delicate. I accidentally saw Maxwell's messages with her. Maxwell wrote, "You remind me of my wife when she was young. She was as charming and lovely as you." "What about now?" Sienna asked, adding a curious and cute emoji. "She's changed now. Sometimes when we're intimate, it feels a bit nauseating." Maxwell replied, "I never expected that this was how Maxwell saw me. That time, I made a huge fuss. I felt an unprecedented insult to my self-esteem and insisted on divorcing Maxwell. He didn't agree, explaining that he was just joking with the young girl, and asked me not to overreact. Our parents also came to persuade me, saying our child was only 2 years old, and asking me to let go of this issue for his sake. Maxwell also swore he would no longer associate with Sienna, and immediately fired her to show his loyalty to me. Moreover, at that time, Maxwell had not had a physical relationship with Sienna. So, in the end, I chose to forgive. I even began to reflect on whether I had indeed focused all my attention on our child, neglecting Maxwell and myself. As I tried to change myself, Maxwell began a physical affair. When I received photos from Sienna of her and Maxwell in bed, I was at the hospital caring for Jack, who had a high fever. Jack suddenly had a seizure from the fever, and after rushing him to the hospital, I called Maxwell. He answered impatiently, "Enough, Eliza. I'm just up for a business function. Stop making excuses to force me to come back." Alone in the hospital with Jack, I received explicit photos from Sienna in the middle of the night. She said, "Maxwell says you're ugly even after losing weight. Not as delicate and lovely as me." At that moment, I realized that a man's infidelity is infidelity, regardless of whether it's emotional or physical. I proposed divorce again. Maxwell didn't refuse this time, but insisted that Jack must stay with him. At that time, Jack was everything to me. I poured all my love into him. He was only 3 years old. My whole world revolved around him, and without me around, he wouldn't sleep even if he cried until dawn. I couldn't bear to leave him. I considered going to court for custody of the child, but having been out of work for years, I couldn't compete with Maxwell. Our marriage continued to be entangled this way. He never gave up on custody, and I persisted in wanting it. As Jack grew up, I seemed to have gotten used to this broken marriage. Sometimes habit is indeed a frightening thing. Even though I hated Maxwell's infidelity, I ended up spending more than half of my life with him. Fortunately, heaven gave me a chance at rebirth. I opened the drawer and calmly handed the divorce agreement to Maxwell. When he saw the agreement, he smiled sarcastically. "Eliza, I thought you had come to your senses. You've been quiet for so long and now you're starting again. What do you want? Isn't the money I give you every month enough?" "Not enough," I replied. "How much do you want?" Maxwell asked generously. "Half of the company's assets." "What are you thinking, Eliza? Are you out of your mind?" Maxwell exploded in anger. "The company was founded by both of us. It's marital property. I've consulted a lawyer and half of it rightfully belongs to me." And then Maxwell said impatiently, "Unless divorce, this is all marital property. So, isn't that what I'm doing now?" I indicated the divorce agreement. Maxwell sneered, dismissing the agreement by tossing it aside. "I won't give you custody of our son. I don't want it anymore." Maxwell looked up. "Have you come to your senses?" "I have." Maxwell impatiently picked up the divorce agreement again and examined it carefully. Besides the property I was entitled to, I didn't ask for anything extra. I also voluntarily gave custody of Jack to Maxwell. Maxwell frowned deeply. putting down the agreement. Eliza, don't regret this. Giving up custody means you can't see our son without my permission. I know. Once divorced, I won't remarry you. Not even for the sake of our son. Maxwell threatened. Sign the papers, I said firmly, not wanting to waste words with him. If I hadn't been unable to see him for so long, the first thing I would have done after my rebirth was to file for divorce. Seeing my resolute attitude, Maxwell had no choice but to comply. He signed his name with a flourish. Eliza, this is all you're doing. If it weren't for you constantly pushing me, I might have let you be Mrs. Joe for a lifetime, considering our son and the years we spent together. But you never learned to appreciate it. Who cares? I said indifferently. In the past life, maintaining the marriage with Maxwell was never about the title of Mrs. XE. It was purely a bond of blood. Pack your things and get out of my house. Maxwell threw the signed divorce agreement at me. I had already packed my luggage. I was just waiting for the divorce from Maxwell. I turned and went upstairs. Jack had also come back from school with Maxwell. The teacher had told him to stay home and reflect for 2 days before returning to school. He had been eavesdropping on my conversation with Maxwell from the corner. Seeing me leave, he hurried to catch up. Are you really getting a divorce from Dad? Jack asked. Are you happy about it? I said lightly, carrying my luggage. From now on, no one will control you. You can do whatever you want. Aren't you afraid that after you divorce Dad, no one will want you anymore? Who told you that no one will want me? I asked amused. Grandma and Dad both said so. Jack said calmly, they said you're not worthy of Dad, and that after the divorce, no one would want you. You're too scared to divorce Dad. I laughed. I had long seen through what kind of person Maxwell was. I didn't expect his mother to be the same. She usually put on a friendly facade, criticizing her son in front of me, and saying how hard I had it raising the child. Behind my back, she simply treated me as a free nanny for her grandson. But it didn't matter anymore. They were all insignificant people now, as long as you really don't interfere with me, or with Dad and Aunt Sienna. I'll try to persuade Dad to not divorce you, Jack proposed. No need. I patted his head and said gently, take care of yourself from now on. Because from now on, his growth had nothing to do with me. I left dragging 2 large suitcases, not looking back. I moved into a furnished apartment I had found in advance near a university. I was preparing for the postgraduate entrance exam to further my education. Maxwell and our college classmates had accompanied him in starting his business. I gave up the opportunity for further study. Later, after the business succeeded and we had a son, I shifted my focus to family. I had always regretted not being able to pursue a master's or a doctorate. In this new life, I deeply realized that one must live for oneself. No one will empathize with you. The day after moving out of Maxwell's villa, I saw that Sienna had posted on social media. It was she who had added me first at the company's anniversary party I attended with Maxwell. Sienna commented on my earrings, and we exchanged WeChat, and she asked for the link later. Sienna got a pair of earrings just like mine, but they were not bought by her. They were a gift from Maxwell. Today her post was, poverty limited my imagination. Is such a large backyard for playing football. With a photo of the villa's backyard. The purpose was of course to announce to the world that she was now officially with Maxwell, and no longer the shameful mistress. I gave them a thumbs up in response. A dog may it last forever. Just after I gave the thumbs up, Sienna messaged me. Sister Eliza, you wouldn't mind me posting on social media, would you? Maxwell insisted I posted, saying it was to make up for the grievances I've suffered over the years. To provoke me, Sienna would occasionally send intimate photos of herself with Maxwell, or write about how much Maxwell loved her. Then she would delete them at the right time, adding a note, sorry, posted by mistake. I had once been so enraged by her antics that I lost my mind, and had loud arguments with Maxwell. The end result was that my relationship with Maxwell deteriorated further. He almost never came back, even on Jack's birthday. He took Jack to celebrate with Sienna every time Jack went to Sienna's place. He would say, Aunt Sienna is so good to me. She's both gentle and beautiful. I want her to be my mom. Looking back, I don't know how I endured it in the past life. Luckily, the hurt was deep, so there was no lingering attachment. I replied with a smile. Why would I mind? Didn't I just give you a thumbs up? You did it to show Maxwell, didn't you? Sienna believed that my divorce from Maxwell was just a matter of spite. I didn't want to waste any more time on such people. I was about to block Sienna when she sent another message. You left something behind. That was impossible. I checked every day, ensuring I didn't leave anything behind. Sienna then sent a photo. It was a box of condoms. I replied generously. I'm giving them to you. They're expired. Sienna sent a mocking emoji and added, they weren't used up from years ago. Maxwell uses several of them every day at my place. We can't buy them fast enough. That's perfect then. I don't want the trash. And if you like recycling, it's a way to utilize waste. I responded calmly. Who are you calling trash? Sienna was instantly enraged, as she was typing furiously. I blocked her immediately. Out of sight, out of mind. After blocking Sienna, my social media feed was noticeably cleaner, without outside disturbances. I devoted myself fully to preparing for my exams, until 1 month later, when I suddenly received a call from Maxwell. He started with, Eliza, where have you been hiding? If you don't want the divorce, why are you pretending? It's too late now. I then remembered that today was the last day of the cooling off period for the divorce, and I had to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get the divorce certificate. I'll be at the Civil Affairs Bureau soon. Hanging up the phone, I didn't delay for a second, and drove straight to the Civil Affairs Bureau. When Maxwell saw me, he had a sarcastic smile on his face. Previously, when we went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to register for the divorce, we had agreed to meet at 10 in the morning. Now it was already noon, and the Civil Affairs Bureau staff had left for the day. Maxwell contemptuously said, Eliza, when you made me sign the divorce agreement, I told you it would be useless to regret it later, no matter what tricks you try. Today the divorce has to happen. Fine. I agreed promptly. I should thank you. If you hadn't taken the initiative to step aside, I wouldn't have known how well Sienna takes care of children at such a young age. When you took care of our son, it was chaotic at home. But since Sienna came, our son has been very well behaved, Maxwell boasted. Congratulations on marrying a capable partner. I replied, still being stubborn. Maxwell said disdainfully, let's see how long you can hold out. At the moment I received the divorce certificate, I let out a huge sigh of relief. I was afraid that if I delayed, Maxwell would lose patience and walk away. And I really didn't want to waste any more time with him. Eliza, Maxwell called out loudly from behind, as I was walking away quickly. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. If you regret it. I drove away, unable to bear hearing another word from Maxwell. After regaining my freedom, I was even more motivated to study every day. In addition to studying hard, I also made sure to exercise regularly. I couldn't let myself be plagued with health problems like in my past life. After months of relentless effort, I finally succeeded. During this time, Jack called me hesitantly. He asked, Mom, do you miss me? I honestly answered, no, because Mom is very busy. Today is my 9th birthday. He seemed a bit disappointed. Happy birthday, I said with a smile. Don't you want to spend my birthday with me? Dad said that without his permission, I can't see you alone. Eliza, I won't give you another chance, came Maxwell's cold voice from the other end. Huh. I was confused. Had he gone mad? Sienna is pregnant with my child, and I'm going to marry her, he said proudly. Congratulations. I responded politely despite being annoyed at being woken up in the middle of the night. Maxwell seemed to scoff and then hung up on me. I didn't think much of it. If it weren't for receiving Maxwell and Sienna's wedding invitation, I would have suspected they sent it by mistake. But the invitation had my name on it. Of course. Just because they invited me didn't mean I had to go. I threw the invitation straight into the trash. Later that day, Jack called me. Mom, why aren't you here yet? Here where? I didn't immediately understand. At Dad and Sienna's wedding hotel. I didn't say I was coming, but Dad sent you an invitation, right? I came early to save a spot for you. Why aren't you coming? Jack's voice was starting to break with tears. I felt no emotional upheaval and said calmly, I have my own matters and can't come. Thank you for saving a spot. But you should give it to someone else. As I was about to hang up, Jack asked, Are those matters more important than me? I thought for a moment and answered seriously, Yes, they are more important than you. You are no longer important at all. After refusing my son, Maxwell called again. Eliza, if you're unhappy about my marriage to Sienna, is it meaningful to take it out on our son? What? I was baffled. What did you just say to our son? He's been crying nonstop. I didn't say anything to him. I explained. Stop making excuses. You can't stand me marrying Sienna. So you're taking it out on our son. At this moment my mother tongue is speechless. Admit it, will you? Maxwell said coldly when I remained silent. It's too late now. It's useless even if you regret it. I wish you and Sienna a lifetime of happiness. After hanging up, I blocked Maxwell as well. I thought that once Maxwell and Sienna got married, there would be no more connection between us. But less than a month later, Maxwell suddenly appeared at the entrance of a university. At that time, I was leaving the school with my senior after coming out of the laboratory. We were discussing the laboratory data. Suddenly, I saw Maxwell waiting for me at the gate with Jack. How did he know I was studying here? When Maxwell saw me, his gaze was fixed on the person next to me. I felt as if I saw some anger in his eyes, but it might have been an illusion. He said sarcastically, I wondered why you didn't want your son. It turns out you have a new lover. Eliza, does the other party know you were married and have a son? I know. Before I could speak, my senior Andrew responded, I heard her ex-husband is a scumbag. Do you know him? I couldn't help but laugh. Maxwell's face turned as dark as thunder. He said coldly, I'm here to see Eliza about something, meaning Andrew should leave. Andrew ignored him and asked me, Is there trouble? No. I smiled at him. You go back first. I'll go back by myself later. Call me if you need help. I can call the police for you. Okay. Andrew left, leaving so far away, still so hard to part. Maxwell mocked. I withdrew my gaze and looked at him. What do you want? Is there any point in blocking me? Maxwell countered. Why keep someone who isn't relevant? I said, Don't you even want your son? I glanced at Jack. Jack looked at me longingly. I smiled and said, He didn't want me, and I respect his choice. I didn't not want you. Jack hurriedly said, I want to be with you forever. I approached Jack, noting how he had visibly gained weight, and said with a smile, Didn't you forget you said you wanted Aunt Sienna to be your mom now? She really is your mom, shouldn't you be? Happy-eyed Jack's eyes were red, biting his lip as if he were in pain. Maxwell stopped beating around the bush. Sienna is pregnant, suffering from pregnancy syndrome, and is easily angered. The doctor said she needs a quiet environment to carry the baby, so during this time the son will stay with you, but I'm very busy. The workload in the lab is heavy and I don't have time to take care of him. Also, I need to prepare for my doctoral exams. I said, feeling distressed. Is studying more important than your son? Maxwell became enraged. What use is a degree at your age? How much money can you earn? Isn't the property I divided enough for you to use for your life? Eliza, what are you pretending to be? I didn't want to argue with Maxwell, but some people really are easily arrogant. I took a deep breath and asked him, Maxwell, in all these years together, have I ever done anything wrong to you? Why are you suddenly bringing this up? Maxwell said irritably, I've never wronged you. I've been dedicated to you, our son, and our old home. Now we are divorced, and you insisted on having custody. Our son also said he prefers Sienna. I've made everyone happy, and now I live my own life. Is there something wrong with that? When did I say you were wrong? Then why question me about my graduate studies? Isn't this a crucial time? Can't you sacrifice a bit for your son? Maxwell said as if it were self-evident. Sacrifice? I asked coldly. Why should I be the one to sacrifice back then after we Graduated from college, you said you needed me to start a business with you. So I sacrificed my qualifications for graduate school later when the business succeeded and we had a son. You said I should sacrifice my career and return to the family. Then after we divorced, I also, as you wished, sacrificed custody of our son. The more I spoke, the more amusing it became. Now you have a new family, don't want the son, and still want me to sacrifice myself to fulfill your happiness, Maxwell. Don't you think you're shameless? When did I say I don't want the son? I said that during Sienna's pregnancy you should temporarily take care of the son. I'll pay double for child support. Maxwell seemed to be slightly on edge and became more agitated. What if Sienna has postpartum depression, and if she recovers from that and then suffers from neurosis? There are so many illnesses in the world, she can always find one or two that suit her, I said with subtle sarcasm. Sienna isn't that kind of person. She treats the son very well, as if he were her own, Maxwell said firmly, naturally catching my implied meaning. If that's the case, how could the son have affect Sienna's pregnancy? Isn't that contradictory? Maxwell was left speechless for a moment, silence falling. Jack suddenly asked me in distress, Mom, do you really not want me anymore? He was already 10 years old and he could understand many things now. I don't not want you. It's just that since you have Aunt Sienna as your new mom, I feel at ease, I said gently to Jack. In the past, to ensure Jack could study well, I always played the role of the bad guy. Now, with no expectations, I absolutely refrained from saying anything harsh, but Jack seemed dissatisfied. He said, Mom, don't smile at me like that. When you smile like that, I feel like you don't love me anymore. I patted Jack's head and said, how could I not love you? I just don't want you to do things you don't like so you don't ruin yourself when you grow up. All right. Eliza. Maxwell, who seemed unwilling to hear more of my sarcasm, probably felt his pride was hurt. After all, he had never been put in a difficult position by me over the years. As he angrily pulled Jack away, he didn't forget to threaten, since you don't care about our son, I won't ask you again. Don't think our son will ever acknowledge you again in the future. I shrugged, indifferent. No matter how I treated him, Jack would never acknowledge me as he grew up. Only Aunt Sienna. Why should I endure hardships for no reason? I focused on living the life I wanted, even though every day was exhausting, but I was happy and fulfilled. It turns out that treating oneself well really can lead to a good life. Occasionally being disturbed by others wasn't a big deal. Today, after finishing a set of experimental data, I saw several missed calls from unknown numbers on my phone, which I had turned off silent mode for when I called back. Maxwell answered. 80. Eliza, come to the hospital. Our son had an accident and got injured. He's in the hospital. I hesitated for a moment, but decided to go to the hospital. After all, Jack is my biological son. Even without feelings, there is still responsibility. As I arrived at the hospital room, I overheard a fierce argument inside. Sienna was screaming, Maxwell, how long are you going to keep your son here? If you don't send him away, I'll dye his hands and it'll be a double death. I've already said Jack doesn't dislike you. Why are you fixated on him? He fell down the stairs and broke his bones, and you haven't shown any concern. Maxwell's voice was loud as well. So you want to see me fall down the stairs too? If I die, you'll have a reason to reconcile with Eliza, and you three can be a family again. Sienna shot back. Enough, Sienna, stop making a scene here. Jack needs to recover properly. Maxwell was losing his patience. Then I'll truly make a scene for you to see. Sienna was aggressive. I'm warning you, either you make your son leave or I'll jump off a building with the baby in my belly. Jack is only 10 years old. Where are you going to send him? Maxwell's voice was trembling with anger. I don't care where he goes. I just don't want to see him anymore. Sienna was resolute. Otherwise, just wait for a double death with that. Sienna turned and left. As she exited the room, she bumped into me. Sienna seemed stunned when she saw me. I saw Sienna, who had become a different person. Was this really the delicate, youthful girl from before with her pregnant belly? She looked like an advanced age pregnant woman. It had only been 2 years. Eliza, what are you doing Here SI was like a ticking time bomb, ready to explode at anyone she saw. I heard from Maxwell that Jack is in the hospital, so I came to see him. Are you here to see Jack or Maxwell? What are you trying to seduce Maxwell while I'm pregnant? Is this person insane? It wasn't surprising for her to go crazy at any moment, although I hadn't seen Sienna for the past 2 years. I had common friends with Maxwell from our years together. I occasionally heard from friends that Sienna had started causing trouble once she found out she was having a son. Whenever there were slightly attractive female employees in Maxwell's company, she would accuse them of seducing Josu and force them to resign. She also wouldn't allow Maxwell to go out for social events. If Maxwell did go, she would show up at his dinners, causing huge disturbances and making Maxwell lose many major projects. They said Maxwell was driven nearly insane by Sienna. I found it somewhat amusing at the time. How could he be driven crazy? Maxwell actually enjoyed Sienna's lively spirit. You get out of here! Maxwell suddenly stormed out of the hospital room, yelling at Sienna. His expression was as if he wanted to devour her. Sienna, probably never having seen Maxwell this fierce, seemed a bit frightened, but then she straightened her belly, seemingly gaining confidence. She shouted at Maxwell, if you dare to do anything wrong to me, I'll show you what it means to die for you. Also, you better take care of your son or I'll never be done with you. Sienna turned and walked away. Maxwell was so angry that his whole body was shaking. I was just standing by as if watching a joke unfold. Do you think I deserve this? Maxwell suddenly asked me. I wiped the smile off my face. I don't comment on things that don't concern me. I didn't expect that after Sienna got pregnant, she would suddenly become a different person. I'm not interested in your issues with her, I reminded him. I'm here to see my son. Maxwell said nothing more. I walked into Jack's hospital room. He was lying on the bed with red-rimmed eyes, clearly having overheard the argument between his dad and Sienna. Seeing me, his eyes lit up instantly and he called out excitedly, "Mom!" I nodded, not very warmly. I just asked about his condition. He said that when he came home from school today and went upstairs, he ran into Sienna, who he claimed deliberately pushed him down the stairs. But Sienna insisted it was because Jack didn't want her to have another child and was trying to push her down the stairs to kill the baby in her womb. Sienna had only pushed Jack down the stairs in self-defense. Jack also said that Sienna was very cruel to him. All the kindness she showed him before was just an act. Since she married his dad, she had been secretly hitting and scolding him, even calling him an unwanted child without a mother. She always forced him to eat chicken legs and hamburgers, saying that was all he deserved. The more Jack spoke, the harder he cried. I listened calmly. I reminded him indifferently, these things you should discuss with your dad or your grandmother, not me. They don't believe me. Only Aunt Sienna. They only care about the baby in her belly and don't care about me at all. They don't love me. They despise me. Mom, can I come with you? Jack clung tightly to me. I promise I'll be good and not say bad things about you anymore. Mom, I know you love me the most. It was all my fault before. I shouldn't have said those things about you or hated you. I was wrong. Please forgive me. Jack cried endlessly. He was really scared that I wouldn't want him anymore. But the truth is, I really don't want him anymore. I pushed his hand away gently but distantly. Jack, everyone has to take responsibility for their own choices. When you chose at Sienna, I had already exited your world, but I regret it. I know I was wrong. If you regret it, you should change yourself, not try to change me, I said calmly, and my life now will not change for anyone, especially not for you. And Maxwell, I left Jack's hospital room coldly. Forgiveness is impossible. I never even considered it. Eliza, when did you become so cold-blooded? Jack is your biological son. Are you really going to ignore him like this? Don't you think you owe him an apology? Maxwell stood at the door, questioning me angrily. I stopped and answered Maxwell methodically. Firstly, according to our divorce agreement, I give him child support every month. I have fulfilled my responsibilities as a mother and have not ignored him. Secondly, Jack is also your biological son, and you have custody Of him you should handle your family matters well and provide Jack with a comfortable living environment. Finally, our marriage fell apart because of your infidelity. You have no right to say I owe Jack an apology, the one who truly owes him an apology is you. Maxwell's face turned red with anger. After a long pause, he seemed to gather immense courage and asked, Eliza, do you want me to apologize to you? I looked at him in bewilderment. You're doing this to make me apologize to you? To admit that I regret divorcing you and marrying Sienna? Fine, I admit I was wrong. I shouldn't have been tempted by Sienna. I shouldn't have ruined our relationship and marriage because of her. I shouldn't have divorced you. Maxwell's regret came across as so arrogant. He said, I promise. Once Sienna has the baby and the law allows me to divorce her, I'll divorce her immediately and get back together with you. I remained silent. I was truly stunned by Maxwell's words. I couldn't believe how thick-skinned someone could be to say such things with such entitlement. I know you've stayed single for the past 2 years, Maxwell continued. You're constantly improving yourself and maintaining such a good figure just to make me see and regret it, right? So you think my current life is for you to see? I couldn't help but laugh. Eliza, we're not young anymore. There's no need to go through so many rituals. Just make your point. I really don't have the patience for this. Maxwell seemed uninterested in continuing the conversation. He said, I still have a large flat available. You and our son can move there for now. Once I divorce Sienna, you can move back to the villa. I remained silent. I just watched Maxwell smile. Maxwell seemed a bit irritated. What are you laughing at? Are you too happy? I'm laughing at how shameless some people can be in this world. Eliza, Maxwell's anger flared. I don't know where you get the confidence to think I would marry a reckless, unfaithful, and arrogant scumbag like Sienna. Am I insane? You'd better think carefully about what you're saying, Eliza. I'm giving you this chance to come back. For our son's sake, don't get carried away. Such a good opportunity. You should save it for someone else. I can't afford it, I added deliberately, and I'm not interested. Stop being so sarcastic. Maxwell couldn't hide his anger. Don't you really think that being divorced with a 10-year-old child and in your 30s, any man would want you? They'd just play with you. No man would actually marry a woman like you. Can't men remarry? I retorted sarcastically. Can men and women be the same? Men can reform and become priceless. What about women? Maxwell's contempt reached its peak. So this is why Maxwell could recklessly cheat during our marriage. Being a man, he really was smug about it. Don't bother trying. Even if no man wants me for the rest of my life, I won't reconsider you. I refused directly. Before Maxwell could speak, I added, besides, who says a woman must have a man to live? Why can't I enjoy life alone? I live well on my own. Why should I serve someone? Do I not know how to spend money or enjoy life on my own? Am I missing limbs and need a man? Maxwell's face turned red with anger. I found it increasingly amusing. I laughed and left. I really don't understand how in this day and age Maxwell's chauvinism can still be so self-evident. In the past life, I must have been out of my mind to endure him for a lifetime. After my unpleasant encounter with Maxwell, he didn't bother me again. I smoothly stayed on campus to continue my PhD studies and kept exploring the academic world I love. At a university reunion, I initially didn't want to go, but I couldn't resist my former best roommate's persistent pleas, especially when they said Maxwell wouldn't be there because of his family issues, so I agreed to attend. During the meal, a classmate couldn't resist gossiping. Did you know Maxwell's new wife almost killed him? They glanced at me and asked, Eliza, you don't mind us talking about your ex-husband, do you? You've already called him an ex-husband. What's there to mind? I said with a smile. Then, I'll go ahead, the CL classmate continued with enthusiasm. Maxwell's new wife is a drama queen. She uses her status to embarrass Maxwell publicly, forbidding him to have attractive female employees at his company and causing trouble at his dinner parties. Her actions almost ruined Maxwell's company. She even wants to kick Maxwell's eldest son out of the house to make room for her own child. But that's not the shocking part. Other classmates were curious, and asked what more had happened. The classmate exaggerated the most. Explosive news is that Maxwell's new baby isn't even his biological child is. That true really? How was it discovered? The classmates asked in a flurry. They tested the baby's blood type. The baby is type O. A Maxwell is AB, so he couldn't possibly father a type O child, wasn't Maxwell furious? Isn't this like being cheated on, especially since his new wife took advantage of this child to act recklessly? Maxwell must have wanted to kill her. The classmate couldn't help but exclaim. Apparently Maxwell almost beat his new wife to death. Now they seem to be going through divorce proceedings, and Maxwell is expected to pay a hefty sum as a penalty for the assault. Listening to this, who wouldn't feel a bit of shod? And from my roommate, smiling, asked, "Doesn't the gossip make the reunion worth it?" I nodded. Indeed, it did lift my spirits. However, as the reunion was about to end, no one expected Maxwell to show up suddenly after hearing about him all evening. It was awkward to see him in person. "Is it over?" Maxwell appeared quite composed. "Yes, it's over," the class monitor quickly said. "Sorry, I arrived late because of some issues." "It's fine, Leighton. Plan another gathering next time," the class monitor said straightforwardly. Usually we might have organized to spend more time with Maxwell, but now the event was immediately concluded. Maxwell said nothing more. Classmates left one by one. Because I had had a bit to drink and wasn't driving, I stood by the roadside waiting for a cab. "I'll give you a ride." Maxwell pressed the car window. "No need," I declined. "Come on, it's on the way." "Really? It's not necessary." Maxwell had no choice. He stopped the car and walked up to me. "Last time it was my fault for not being sincere enough," Maxwell suddenly said to me in a subdued tone. "I just heard about it. I didn't hide my lack of interest." "Is this a moment where you've suddenly managed to lower your pride? Could it be that you're suddenly unwanted? Isn't it true that a man's change of heart is worth its weight in gold?" "Eliza, I admit I was a bit harsh before, but I didn't mean to hurt you. I just didn't know how to get you back by my side," Maxwell said helplessly. "That's why I resorted to using reverse psychology." "I appreciate your reverse psychology. It only made me find you more disgusting." Maxwell's face turned red and pale as I spoke. He said, "Eliza, I'm sorry. I really know I was wrong. I swear I'll never do anything to hurt you again. Let's start over. You, me, and our son, our little family of three." "A family of three? How could he bring himself to say that?" "It made me feel utterly nauseated." "Come home with me," Maxwell said, reaching out to pull me. I avoided him perfectly. Maxwell looked awkward. "Our son is still waiting for us at home. He's been wanting to see you for years and regrets the things he said to you." "Actually, it's not just him. I regret it too. So can you forgive us this once?" "No, I can't forgive you." I shook my head firmly. "Why should I forgive you? Just because you regret it? What about all the suffering I endured? What is the realization I gained over a lifetime worth?" I asked him coldly. "What's a lifetime of realization worth? What lifetime?" Maxwell seemed confused. I saw no need to explain further and said indifferently, "From the moment we divorced, it was over between us. You don't need to waste your time looking for me or use our son to make peace. It's useless. Not only is it us less, but I also find you annoying because you're affecting my life." "Are you worried that I won't genuinely change?" Maxwell asked me. "That's not my concern. If I were in your shoes, I would have worries too." Maxwell seemed to understand me, saying, "I'll show you through my actions." "I couldn't be clearer. I will not reconcile with you. You've always been single, haven't you?" Maxwell was convinced that my single status meant I was waiting for him to change. I was too tired to explain. Maxwell was too confident. He just thought that as long as he turned back, I would definitely be waiting for him in place. Let him be. After all, one day he will realize that I have long moved on. He'll find himself unable to catch up or be worthy of me. 6 months later, at a university centennial celebration, all a university alumni could come back to attend. The school was bustling with activity. As an outstanding graduate, I stood on the podium in the grand hall. The audience was filled with people, including Maxwell. He probably couldn't believe I was standing on such a prominent and significant stage behind Me, the large screen displayed all my achievements in the academic field over the years. These achievements would leave a permanent mark on the school centennial history corridor. After my speech, the auditorium erupted with thunderous applause. I even heard someone cheer, "Senior, you're amazing." I smiled and bowed as I left. Walking around the campus, many students came to ask for photos and autographs. After finally managing to send off wave after wave of students, I saw Maxwell with a much older Jack standing in front of me. Jack excitedly said, "Mom, I just saw your speech in the auditorium. I'm so proud." I heard people around saying, "You're amazing." I smiled faintly and politely thanked him. Then I turned to leave. "Eliza." Maxwell called out to me nervously. I turned to look at him. His eyes were still full of astonishment, as if he didn't understand when I had changed into someone completely different from the middle-aged woman who used to revolve around him and our son. He sincerely said, "You were really amazing today. I didn't expect you to have such achievements in the academic world. So do you have self-awareness now?" I asked him with a sneer. Maxwell's face showed some embarrassment, but quickly concealed it. He said, "I didn't want to reconcile just because of your current achievements. I didn't know before," and kept pleading. "I know you've always resented me for betraying you," Maxwell said in a panicked tone, as if he finally realized that I seemed to be moving further away from him. He excitedly continued, "The truth is, I've always liked you. My feelings for Sienna were just novelty and a man's vanity. I never intended to divorce you. My relationship with Sienna was just a temporary fling." I felt as if I had heard the greatest joke of this lifetime in the last, but I didn't interrupt him. Maxwell, full of regret, said, "The reason I fought for custody of our son back then was to avoid divorcing you, because I knew you couldn't bear to part with him, but I didn't expect you to actually give up custody, and I was left with no choice but to agree to the divorce. But after the divorce, I never intended to stay with Sienna. I was always waiting for you to come back. I even used protection every time I slept with Sienna. I never intended for her to get pregnant, so I should thank you for your grace, having betrayed me both emotionally and physically, yet still mercifully using protection when you were with someone else." When Sienna said she was pregnant, I didn't think much of it. I never doubted that Sienna might have cheated on me. I thought the contraception just wasn't effective enough. Maxwell's anger was still evident as he spoke. He paused for several seconds before continuing. "When Sienna insisted that I give her a formal relationship, I didn't agree. Do you remember that night when I called you? If you had said you didn't want me to marry Sienna, I wouldn't have married her, but you didn't say anything. Out of frustration, I agreed to marry her. Even on the day of our wedding, I was still waiting for you to stop it. If you had come, I would have chosen you without a doubt, but you didn't. I had no choice but to marry Sienna." Listening to Maxwell's so-called love for me, I could only say it was incredibly difficult to assess. He continued in agony, "After marrying Sienna, she went wild and made me a laughing stock in the business world. That's when I truly realized how good you were to me and how tolerant you were. I even wished I could divorce Sienna immediately and get back with you, but she was pregnant, and the law didn't allow me to divorce her, so I hoped you would wait for me. Even tried to use our son to make you change your mind, but you kept rejecting me. Do you know how afraid I was? I was truly terrified of never being able to get you back." Maxwell's eyes were red. I found it all incredibly laughable. At least back then, I never felt his fear. He still stood tall and aloof in front of me. Later, Sienna had a son, but he wasn't mine. I was furious yet relieved I could finally divorce Sienna immediately and be with you. Maxwell looked at me with hope in his eyes. "Eliza, I'm sorry. I was ridiculously wrong before. From now on, if I do anything to hurt you, I will break my own legs. Mom, I promise I'll be good and never hurt you again." Jack bowed alongside him. I looked at the father and son, at their regret, their deep feelings, and their expectations, but I remained unmoved. Seeing my lack of reaction, Maxwell spoke again. "Eliza, will you come back to us? Let us make up for the hurt we caused you." "No need." I shook my head. "I've long healed From those wounds I didn't need them, I didn't crave them. Maxwell, don't you think you're no longer worthy of me? I interrupted him, mocking his self-righteousness. Maxwell quickly stated, Eliza, I love you for who you are, whether it's the old you or the new you, regardless of how exceptional you are. But why should I pick up the pieces when I'm so exceptional now? I asked him with a smile. I didn't give him any face. His face turned a bit red, perhaps with shame, but he still didn't give up, saying, Eliza, haven't you always been single? So being single became his reason for believing I would return to him. I laughed and looked away. Andrew quickly moved to my side, naturally wrapping his arms around me, clearly eager for me to acknowledge him. He greeted Maxwell and Jack, ex-husband and big son. Maxwell's eyes fixed on Andrew's hand around my waist. Eliza, is it really necessary to find any man just to reject me? It's not just anyone. I knew what Maxwell was about to say, but I was done with patience. I said directly, I've been single for so many years because I enjoyed being on my own. Now that I'm no longer single, it's because I found someone great, someone I'm willing to start a new marriage with. I watched Maxwell's unaccepting expression and added another blow. So whether I'm single or not, it's irrelevant to you. It's just my choice, and you in my heart are just an optional person. After saying this, I embraced Andrew and left. As we were leaving, Andrew suddenly turned and said, Eliza is pregnant with twins. He knew how to strike right at the heart. I didn't look back at Maxwell and Jack's expressions. I could only vaguely hear Jack's tearful question, Dad, is Mom really not coming back to us this time? Yes. Maxwell's voice was subdued. She really doesn't want us anymore. She hasn't for a long time. It was he who had been deceiving himself all along.